In labor markets, there are a number of different sources for interference, preventing the labor demand and the labor supply from intersecting as they do in a normal market to set a market price. In fact, there are three different things that can interfere with the labor market. Those three sources of interference come from the three parties that are involved in the labor market itself: the firms who are seeking to hire labor, the workers who want the jobs, and government who can step in and interfere with the market. All three of those interferences lead to exactly the same outcomes. They lead to higher wages for the people who have jobs, but they also cause there to be a smaller quantity demanded and a higher quantity supplied, which leads to, unfortunately, unemployment. Let's take a look at each one of these. The first I want to take a look at is something you're probably familiar with: the minimum wage. The minimum wage is a price control implemented by government. It is put in place in a labor market where the wage is deemed to be too low by some well-meaning individual or group of people. So the price control, the price floor in this case, has to be set above the equilibrium wage rate. Unfortunately, when that happens, the amount of workers that a firm wants to hire goes down, while the number of people who want to work at a job goes up. Imagine it this way: if there were let's say a job opening in the sewage department. In order to attract workers, the firm may want to raise the wage. If that wage is high enough, a lot of people would apply for the job. If the wage pays $100 an hour, for example, a lot of people would enter that market and try to get the jobs. But at $100 an hour, the sewer authority can't afford to hire too many people. So the quantity demanded would be down and the quantity supplied would be up. The difference between this example and a minimum wage is that this would be a voluntary payment. The minimum wage is a mandatory payment with the intent of creating higher incomes for the people who get the minimum wage jobs, but it has the side effect of creating a divide between demand and supply in the market. And this difference between the demand and supply in the labor market is referred to sometimes as unemployment. There are people who want jobs who can't find them. A second way that this outcome can be accomplished is when unions enter the labor market. Every study looking at the impact of unions is unanimous in agreeing that unions get higher wages for their employees, higher than the market wage. This is one of the reasons why a person would join a labor union, of course. That higher wage, the wage above equilibrium, once again creates a divide between the firm and the workers who want to work. That difference between the demand and the supply, in this case, is called unemployment. The difference between this example and the minimum wage example is that this wage is imposed upon the market by the workers themselves. This union wage creates unemployment, as long as that wage is above the market wage. The third way that this can be accomplished, this division between demand and supply, is when a firm voluntarily pays a worker more than the market wage. This is referred to as an efficiency wage. Now, the firm knows that they're not going to be able to hire as many people, but by paying a wage above market, they can attract better workers. They can get workers who are more dedicated to their jobs, because they know if they don't work hard and they lose their job, then they can't find a job that's going to pay as well as this one does. This efficiency wage is a wage above market, but it's a good thing, or it could be a good thing for the firm, because these workers work harder, they show up on time, they don't slack off as much, they're not surfing the web when they're supposed to be working. They're doing what the firm wants them to do, and so the benefit of paying a higher wage is worth the cost of paying a higher wage. Not only does it accomplish all of these things, but it also reduces turnover for the firm. They're not constantly seeking to hire new people to fill vacancies because people don't want to leave those jobs that pay better wages. So, three things can interfere with the labor market: the government in the form of a minimum wage, the workers themselves in the form of a union, and the firms who might pay an efficiency wage. All three of these things create unemployment by putting a wedge between supply and demand in the labor market.